So it looks like we now move on to some of the mechanical assembly. So we'll take a look at that next. And there's of course, a little bag of hardware here. We bagged this back up earlier in the build. It looks like we've got threaded standoffs. Short, 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 and too long. A little SD card. I'm just going to go ahead and dock. And 2 spacers. So let me power this down. Lift our little front panel off. Unplug the USB cable. So it looks like add the 14mm male female standoffs on top of the 220 male female standoffs on the side with the Arduino. So these must be 20s, these must be 14s. So it looks like we're doing this. On the other side, add 2 14mm and the 220 millimeter female. So it looks like these go over here. Taking care of those steps. Of course, got a piece of tape sticking to everything. Taking care of those 2 steps. Now we'll install the MicroSD card module. So this is this little module right here. It's going to go on, well, it has to go on the back of the board. So it's going to mount back here. I'll pull the SD card out so I don't break it. If you would like the MicroSD card accessible from outside the case, take a needle nose and carefully bend the pins to 90 degrees. And I do want it exposed out the back. So let's see if these pins will actually bend to 90 degrees. Not sure off. Bent the pins to 90 degrees. Install the module with the SD card holder facing towards the outside of the PCB. Does he mean this direction? Hopefully there's a picture here. There actually isn't a picture. See if there's it gets caught in a photograph later on. There really isn't. So maybe at this point I just need to check it against the case. See if it lines up to the little slot. those two screws must, over there, drop down through. Yeah, it looks like that lines up. Might need a little bit of adjusting. Yep, that's got to be the way it mounts. It's not quite square. I'm going to have to solder one pin. Then we'll square it. Oops, turn the soldering pencil off at some point. I'm only going to solder one other pin, and then I'm going to test fit it in the bottom of the case again. It'll be easier to move around with only 2 pins soldered versus all of them soldered. Didn't mean to drop it. There, it's set into place. I don't know which way it's actually meant to go in. Looks to me like it could be flexed down a little bit more. If I can get it to bend down a bit. I'm assuming these screws are meant to go into these standoffs. Actually, no, those screws I think actually go through the front panel. I don't remember. Well, I think that's a good spot. It's pretty close. Solder up the rest of the pins. It will be nice to be able to just pull that card in and out to add software without needing to tear the unit down. It's a nice little design detail. So we've got the SD card module in place. The next thing is this little RS-232 module. That's what I believe this is. Oh, it's the Bluetooth module, actually. We're going to have the Bluetooth module. If your module has angled pins, that's not quite what we want. Oh, on the other one, we bent the pins. On this one, we want to straighten them. Isn't that just fun? Okay. Let's see if we can actually have any luck straightening them. That didn't straighten so well. Not particularly happy with that for straightening them. A couple of these have not straightened as well as I would have liked. I guess mechanically they feel like they're not going to break off, so which is good. They're pretty splayed out. Bluetooth module may have 6 or 4 pins. Mine has 6. It only has 4. Soldering them to the center 4 pins. Well, mine has 6, so it's apparently going to sit here. Those pins aren't perfectly straight. It makes getting it in place a little bit rough. I think I'm going to actually mount it not completely up, flush with the board. Kind of suspended out there. There should be plenty of room in the case for that to hang there. Let's tack one pin, see what we've got. It looks pretty square and straight to me. We'll solder up the other pins. So it's got Bluetooth for one of the serial devices, which is interesting. So we've got the Bluetooth module in place. Now we're going to move on to the back panel. Oh, that piece of tape keeps sticking to my arm, making me a little crazy. So let's move this out of the way. Get to this hardware. So is there a picture of this assembled? This has got a piece of protective plastic over it. It looks like it probably does. It's definitely a little dirty. So, based on this picture down here, the parts mount from, so this is the front side, and I'm going to continue to assume there's some protective plastic over that. That's what the writing is on, and there is. Okay. That makes more sense. That's nice and dark. Let's go back to the order here. They wanted stuff done. First thing's going to be the power jack. It's going to be the large nut. That cross thread. Yes, it's cross threading. That's better. Sometimes when it cross threads, if you turn the bolt over the other direction, it can make it a little easier to keep it from cross threading. Of course, the tools I need are never laying around where I need them to be. There he is. Feels tight enough. Audio jack right here. And that's going to be the nut for the audio jack. May show him going in this way. Be careful here not to scratch the plastic. Audio jack. Move the little retainer screws here from the serial connector, and it mounts here. It's a nice tidy looking little back panel. Where'd the other little hex bolt go? Reasonably square. That's in place. Now we've got the USB cable. Extension mounts to the rear panel with two 8mm screws. I don't know which ones. So there's 2 short and 4 longer. I don't know which ones are the 8mm. Attach it in places the bamboo case with the bottom 2 screws only. Let's check for length, because I think these are going to be too short. Oh, not. That's actually threaded inside, so no. I think it's going to be those shorter ones. That screw binding up. The screw in this one kept binding up. It didn't seem to want to start. So they just need to be torqued through one. So I think it's just the plastic behind the nut is a little small. It's fine. Is there a preference for which way that twist should go? Well, he shows it in his picture. Twisting off to this side. Sweet, that actually looks pretty decent. Now we're going to move on to power wiring. Oh, I got caught in there. Which I will do a little shrink tubing and do a little bit different, just because I want a bit cleaner build. pin headers again, like I did on the Ken back. And it's got audio here and power over here. Again, they need to be polarized. I could do the same thing I did. Let's see. Now that power's got to run a long way. So the power is going to have to run from the panel all the way across to the board over here. So that's a pretty long power run, not a big deal. Get an idea of the lengths I need here. And I don't recall seeing hookup wire supplied in the kit. If it was, I've misplaced it. So I'll plan this out a bit and then we'll come back.